I feel like we can't start the show. We can't. I mean, I'm not one for a moment of silence. I think that's a little bit performative or whatever. I'm not really into that, but I think we can't really start the show without acknowledging the 215 children that were found at the residential school in Kamloops. It's a tragedy. It's terrible. It's an embarrassing day to be a Canadian, and it's a terrible part of our history, and it's coming to light now. And I think for one think we need to investigate this to the fullest. That's really all I can say today.
215 children found recently.
Yeah.
There's more. There has to be.
There is. Oh, absolutely. This is the peak of the iceberg, I'm sure.
It's a horrible. That's always been a black eye on the Canadian people, as well as the Catholic Church.
Yeah.
Who ran these? Like, let's just call them like a concentration camp, basically.
It is.
To me, it's sad that we've lost these innocent lives because they weren't given the opportunities that we have. That's for sure. You know, and the residential schools have been going on for a while. They've been shut down, but in our time, there was still residential schools when we were in school. Like so
up until the 90s. Like
I just want you to think about that for a second. Like in the 90s, dude, we were in school together.
Yeah.
Like we were in elementary school and in high school, and these atrocities were happening. I mean, the education we have now to know what not to do, I don't understand what's this coming from. But my question to you is, when does somebody have the balls to call the Catholic Church a known terrorist group? They literally have slaughtered millions. If that had been a brown guy in a plane, that's a terrorist group right there. That's the 200 people. They're terrorists. They're hunted down. They're shot. A whole country, the world will go to war with them. But because they are beautiful, precious children that didn't have the opportunity to grow. Yeah. And because of a Catholic Church is involved, the Canadian government, things of that nature, we just kind of put our hands up and kind of just go, and back away. We should not be backing away. We should be jumping into it and figuring out what is going on here.
It's true. It's true. There needs to be investigations. There needs to be people held accountable. I mean, this has been happening for so long, but like I said, even as recently as the 90s. So there are people still around who can be held accountable, and we need to investigate and hold those people as accountable as we can. Those that are remaining, that are still alive, that we can.
Yeah. So what do we do? So what I say we do is, if you don't want to go against the whole Catholic Church because they're so big and powerful, what we do is we start taxing them. We no longer call them a charity, and we start taxing them. We want to tax you, but we're going to tax you now. That's what's going to happen. So every dollar you get in, the government will take 30 cents. Now take that 30 cents and you put it to a victim fund, and you ensure that these people who lost their children, who lost a brother and sister, have access to these funds, and it goes to them. Because the people that were killed didn't have a chance, didn't have a choice, didn't have an opportunity in life to work, to live, to breathe. They were just killed. So to me, we tax the government, we tax the churches, and we ensure that this never happens again. Because we're not going to attack a church.
I agree in some respects. Like, absolutely, we should be taxing all churches. I think it's silly that churches are considered tax exempt. So that's off the, like, that's not even like, that's a whole other conversation. That's just to start. But we also need to hold the individuals accountable. We need to honor the families of these children. We need to, there's a lot, and we need to hold ourselves accountable as Canadians. I mean, Canada has kind of taken a lot of pride in not having a racist history. And I think a lot of people need to realize that we do have a very racist history, and we need to own up to it now. And these are just some of the first steps that we need to come to terms with. That's my take on it. That's really all I have to say.
I am 100% with you. Another thing too is that we tear down every residential school. Some of them are still standing. What we need to do though is not tear them down. We need to kind of fine tooth comb them, investigations into the
Dig
ground.
Yes.
I want soil scans. I want everything possible. If we got the guys from Oak Island that are using a scanner to see if there's some type of well in the bottom of something, we should be able to use that type of technology to ensure that there is no ground untouched, to make sure that every child has a name, has a place in this world, and we can't walk away from it. We can't. But who's going to take the fall for it? Because the church is going to go, we're the Catholic Church, and the government's not going to want to touch them. But it's guys like me and you who have a voice, and we can say the voice for the people that don't have one, and we've done it before.
The voice of the voiceless, as they say.
That's us, man, and it's unfortunate that it happened. I honestly think that in a few months we'll probably be having this same conversation about another one.
Yeah, well, you're right about that. That's maybe the only honest and true thing that we know is likely to happen is this is the tip of the iceberg, and it's only going to happen again and
again. Yeah. And then what happens now we need to say we fucked up. I could say we fucked up. Mm-hmm. We need to fix our fuck up, as well as now we need to use this as an educational tool for our children growing up, saying this happened, this was bad, we can't let this happen, this is why we're all on the same fucking level. Mm-hmm. If that would have been 215 white kids, right now, all hell would break loose.
Yeah. I mean,
but because they're voiceless, you know what? It's not fair to them. It's not really fair to them. And that's something that we can both agree on. So with that being said, is there anything else you want to say about that, Adam?
No, that's really all I have to say. I'm still waiting to hear what more will come of this. And I think that when we hear more, we're probably both going to have a lot to say about it. But for now, I just wanted to acknowledge it and sort of pay our respects and,